Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first video from the Oddball Fleet and other offbeat oddities. My name is Ted. I will be the host, and my girlfriend Sherry will also be with me. And yes, you are looking at our beautiful side yard here, but you guys probably won't be seeing too much of the beautiful scenery because you're going to be seeing stuff like this. Our wonderful, weird and wild menagerie of cars. Not all of them that are on this property are ours, but there are a few that are. I'm going to go through those real quick to show you, what her and I own. But these are, this Charger is a 2006 Dodge Charger SXT. It's not a perfect car, but it is a good runner, good daily driver. This is actually Sherry's car. What do you want to say about it, Sherry? Anything?
No, it's been a great car and I love it just because it's a Charger, I guess.
Okay. It is the 3.5 V6.
It is.
And of course automatic. You can see it doesn't get much drive time. You can turn your alarm off now.
I have to.
But sorry about that. But I mean, it needs a good cleaning. But I mean, it's a decent little car. This is her 2004? 2005 Dodge Caravan, and yes, there is a tree. This is just a tiny little branch leaning over it. But this was her brother's. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us. But that's how she acquired it. It's just a base model minivan. Nothing real special about it either. He loved this van, and he was very proud of it, and so we keep it around, and it's great for hauling stuff. If you know, that's my aunt's vehicle. Don't worry about that. That one, the old '93 Crown Vic, there was my uncle's. He has been gone, I would guess, about 9 years.
It's 15.
Since 2015, and it's just parked up here and sat. And this is what 18 years worth of sitting will do to one, roughly, or maybe my math is wrong. It might be. I don't know. But yeah, 8 years. Okay, I am terribly sorry. But maybe I'll do a video on why you should never park your car and abandon it at some point. But and use this one as an example.
Well, it was his fault, but
well, supposedly, my father has this car and hasn't done crap with it. So this is my car, my one of my daily drivers. It's a 2000 Lincoln Town Car. Starting to see a pattern here. We kind of like the Panther platforms, but they're great vehicles. And this is, of course, I've got my Grand Theft Auto Steal Me license plate on the front of it because I like GTA as well. I do work for the college campus, which is about a 30-minute drive from me, to work, 30 minutes back home, about an hour round trip. And the car does it perfectly. It's a great car. You really can't hurt these Panthers. They run, and they're very durable and heavy cars. The air ride surprisingly still works on this one. And, it does leak down if you leave it sitting, but this thing's only not sat more than 2 days with me. So now it's a really nice car. Really not a fan of white. I'm not a fan of white. Just go ahead and tell you.
I'm not either.
But that's just how it fell. This is my grandfather, who also passed away about 9 years ago. This is his 1986 Dodge Power Ram, affectionately known as Rattler. Oh, and the Lincoln, its name is the Bluesmobile, and I'll explain that in a later video. But this truck does run, or will run. It needs a starter. But it does. It was my grandfather on my dad's side bought this truck new in 1987. It's an 86 year model. It is a factory 318 factory AC truck with four-wheel drive, and it does work, or it did work. I'm sure it still does. Still has the original decals, the Power Ram on the side. He did add the running boards, and of course it's got Ford van, I think, wheel covers on it. And of course he added the camper shell and other little details, as you can see. But it was a really good truck. It's been in my family since, well, the year I was born. This is my other daily driver, SN95 Mustang. As I call it, the Mustang nobody wants. It's a 95 V6 automatic hardtop. I bought this car from my father, who for $500, and I replaced the head gasket, and of course it has a trampoline in it because I went and picked the trampoline up yesterday. But yeah, a disassembled trampoline. That might be a fun video for people to watch, see me put a trampoline together. But it does have, I think, 96 taillights in it, but it's a 95. And it does run and drive. I think the only thing really wrong with it is it needs air conditioning. It needs the AC charged. But it's got, for those of you who might be fans of Dukes of Hazzard, it has Roscoe P. Coltrane's government issue plate off his sheriff's car, so on the front of it, because I collect weird license plates and, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, not a whole lot to say. It's the 3.8 V6. I thought about finding an old Thunderbird Super Coupe and put a supercharger on it and going with it, but why? Haven't done it yet. This one is my grandmother's Chrysler 300. Not really going to cover that one because it's not one of our cars. That one does not belong to us. That belongs to her son's wife. Not going to cover that one. Apparently my aunt and her husband and her grandchild are coming up the driveway. This is Sherry's 2010 Volvo XC90, and, you know, just in case you get behind her and you're following a little too closely, there's your warning. She's a good runner, but oh yeah, and let's see, if you were curious, I mean, we live in the countryside of East Tennessee. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a thing for us. She drives this one daily. It does have a rebuilt title. As a matter of fact, the Lincoln, the Mustang, and this one all have rebuilt titles, but I don't care. You know, they get down the road for our purposes, they do just fine. There is her ginormous RV. Don't think we'll be covering that one. My father's 95 Mercury Cougar with a locked up engine that has been sitting for probably 15 years. And we'll probably never see the road again, but hey, we probably won't cover that one. I'm trying to keep it, the ones we'll cover are our cars, not everybody else's. Although I would like to cover that old Ferguson tractor. It is a TO30. I'm not sure on the year, but it was my grandfather's, now my grandmother's. But I don't know how we're going to be able to cover that. I know it needs some work done to it, but it used to run. That is her son's Lincoln. We won't be covering it unless he okays it. And now we're on to the, I guess, the only two real oddballs that are left. I have a notorious habit of owning really strange cars. I've owned a Buick Riata, a couple of Buick Roadmaster estate wagons, owned a 73 Buick Riviera, boat tail. I mean, a lot of these cars are just, you know, these are cars that I've owned. This is actually an oddball in itself. This is a 2003 Crown Victoria LX Sport. Now, this one I will be covering, and Sherry can't stop me. It is your car, but this car deserves to get its time, and it's you know, its time on in the limelight here. It did have, and you can still see it has the Montigua, you know, badge, which is actually reserved for Mercury Grand Marquis. I've never seen a Crown Victoria with the Montigua vinyl top with the carriage top on top. I've never seen that. This is the first one and only one. It has been sitting for a little while, but it does get started. It just gets a little dusty sitting under the carport. But this car has right at 80,000 actual miles. Sherry is the only owner of the automobile. It is in very slight disrepair. Of course, you can see the vinyl top, you know, the fiberglass up under it here, and, you know, where the vinyl is. But this car, you bought it brand new, right?
I did.
Off the showroom.
Off the showroom floor.
And you bought an 04, it's an 03 year model?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Lance Cutting Him. I bought it in January.
Neil Sandler.
Neil
Sandler. It says it on the back.
Yes, you're right.
She requested.
Service at Lance Cuttingham.
Let's see here. Yeah, Neil Sandler. That's where she
that's
bought
where
it.
I bought it at off Alpha Highway.
It has had some damage. A tree fell on it right here, and that's it. Pushed this in, and her brother. I was there, but I didn't really do anything. But her brother helped straighten that back out. We do need to get, probably a bumper cover, honestly.
It broke the tail light.
Replaced the tail light, and for some reason my video jumped. But and of course it's got a little dent right here.
Trees do damage.
But I mean it's actually a solid car, and I keep telling her to drive it, but she won't. So that's her problem. That's her fault.
I want to put the miles on the Volvo.
Okay, well, you still need to get that thing out every now and then.
I agree.
This, well, this is my project. A 1981 Chevrolet Love, and it is the long bed, two-wheel drive, like the most basic truck ever. This thing, I still have the hubcaps, but two of them are rusted because it sat around back of the farm that I grew up on. Would you silence that, please? Thank you. And it still has the original 1.8 washing machine motor under the hood of it, little 4-cylinder, 4-speed manual, no factory air, no power steering. This truck has actually been sitting for about 26 years. 20 years since 1995, since my grandfather died. You can see there is some rust. It's not a perfect machine by any stretch of the term. But the engine does run, and I have had it running. But the fuel tank Swiss cheese, and yeah, you can see the tag last time it was registered was 95. And so it was parked around back of the farm around the back of the farmhouse that I grew up on until I bought it, or actually I didn't buy it. My grandmother was moving because she sold the farm, and she asked me if I wanted the truck, and I asked her what she was going to do with it. Sorry. And she said, "You want it?" I said, "Well, yeah." She said, "You can have it." So, free truck. And, but I have had the engine running. I got the brakes unstuck. I've got a few things done to it. You can see that the fuel pump is down right there, as well as the fuel filter. The tank is totally destroyed. The frame is actually pretty solid. It's got some surface rust, but it's not rotten. So I'm thinking about at some point, sanding it all down and getting it undercoated. So that way it doesn't get any, doesn't rust at all. Because these trucks, being Asian, because technically it's an Isuzu Pup, were notorious for rusting. But that's pretty much it. I mean, our property goes on forever. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's not goes on forever. We got about 7 acres, and it's just not. It's a, kind of off the beaten path, and it's a really nice place. There's also some, cool little gadgets and gizmos and other curiosities in the house. I might see if I can cover a few of those. Probably do some flea market finds, that kind of thing. My plan for the channel is to kind of focus on automobiles because I am a car guy and I just enjoy it. But also, cover some other things like, neat finds that we find at flea markets or whatever, whether we buy it or not, just that kind of thing. And I know I'm rambling. I do apologize. But anyway, if you'd like to see more, or if there's anything you'd like for us to cover, if we're able to come up with it, let us know. We're not a big outfit, obviously. We're just 2 people with a phone and, just covering automobiles and other, like I said, offbeat oddities. Just things you don't see all the time. Things that, maybe were forgotten in the sands of time that we managed to somehow luck our way into finding. There's so much out there in this world that, is forgotten. A lot of old antiques and things like that people have forgotten about that were actually really cool things back in the day. And I'd like to find some of those and kind of cover them. And of course, we're not rich, so all the vehicles that we cover will be our own vehicles. I have a tendency to buy, sell, and trade rather rapidly on cars. Just in the last 2 months, I went from a 95 Lincoln Town Car limousine to a 2002, I think, wasn't it? Mercedes C230 compressor coupe with a 6-speed manual. And then I sold it 2 weeks ago and bought that. So I do have a tendency to go through vehicles. So it turnaround shouldn't be too terrible. There's a fire pit, by the way. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens from there, and hopefully we'll be able to get something going. Anyway, thanks y'all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Hopefully next week. Bye.